We are back for episode 10 with a very special guest and a very special friend. This man is a beast. This man is a growth of a massive team and a massive organization. He's responsible for coaching his agents and also in the past coaching me. Please welcome here to the show. We got Joel Hollo. What's happening, babe?
Dude, what a freaking intro. Thank you, man. I appreciate that. It was funny when you said beast because I grabbed my coffee and I happened to look what was on the mug.
What?
That was for you, though. That wasn't for me.
I love it. I love it. I love it. What's going on today, man?
Man, I always talk about the weather because we're here in Cleveland, so I make everybody feel bad about myself. So within 24 hours, we went from 55 degrees to 20 degrees, and if I show you outside, there it is a sheet of ice everywhere. So that's what's going on.
Well, it is 73 and slightly cloudy. I think it's going to get up around 80 today.
So here's what you don't know. You don't know how to access a lockbox that is frozen solid with ice that you have to beat with your hand or with a shoe or something to get the code.
And I don't ever want to know. I don't ever want to know.
No, you don't want to know. It's bad.
Oh man. So are people still buying houses out there? Are they taking do you have like sled dogs and stuff to go out to the house?
Yeah, honestly, you got to carry a shovel with you because it is a thing here. But yeah, I mean, here in Ohio, in Cleveland, in areas with weather like this, you have to take seasonality into effect. But I'm gonna trump that here in a second because I actually got this advice from somebody a long time ago that really stuck with me. We do like 17% of our sales come in the first quarter when the rest of the quarters average about 30%. So it's very, the sales trend shows that. But our buddy Michael Reese said to me one time, he goes, the market doesn't slow down. The average agent slows down. And that's true. Because it's something I want to talk about today is that the effort that you put in, and I am living proof of these volume buttons that you can actually turn up and turn down in order to fuel your business. And your bank account, it shows it. It's proven. So
I love it, man. I love it. And yeah, brother, I'm excited to see what you do here. So the purpose of this show really is there. I mean, you and I, you've seen this. I've seen this. The hardest breakthrough where everybody wants to go is, hey, I want to come into real estate. I want to make 100,000, right? Like that's like 80% of people. But the problem is that progression from 0 to 100,000 is actually harder than it is to go from 100,000 to 500,000. And I really want to see. So if you had to start over today and we were going in fresh, what would you do to get from 0 to 100,000 as fast as possible?
Dude, it's funny you brought up the 100,000 because that's exactly what we see here. Virtually every agent that I sit down with to do their clarity session and their goal planning, it's what do you want to accomplish? What's the money you want to put in your pocket this year, and what do you want to do with it? And it's always $100,000. So what people realize, so it goes back to the silver bullet in real estate. I feel, and I'm honestly very confident about that. I learned from the best of the best, and a lot of people say that, but truthfully, I mean, look at the sphere of people that not only we both learn from and train from and coach with and coach for, but they are arguably the best of the best. And I'm talking, Jay Kinder, Michael Reese, John Kitchen, John Sheplack. And so it all goes down to this. It's the effort that you put in to real estate. And it might be at an elementary level, but I'm talking to all agents here because I see new agents come on board. And it's exactly what you just said. I want to make $100,000, but it's harder than they find that when they end up finding out like, oh, I actually have to work. This isn't a get rich quick scheme. But I thought we sold a house and we made a lot of money. Yeah, we could, but it's the effort that comes in the forefront, right? It's the leading measures, and that's the focus, right? If I were to rewind back to 2008 when I got licensed, so I did get lucky because I was thrown into new construction because of all my new construction relationships. But take that out of the mix. Truthfully, it would be the micro commitments of consistency in my schedule. Not the short-term intensity, which is what a lot of people have, and then you get burnout within 2 days or even 2 weeks, and then you stop doing it. It's understanding that there's a process. It's trusting the process. It's knowing that when I plant the seed today, it might be for tomorrow. It might be for next month. It might be for 6 months. It might be for 12 months or even further. And then the big key is follow-up. So a lot of people say the two things that agents struggle with are training and lead generation, and that is true. However, I believe that the number one thing is follow up. And that was for me. If I would follow up and I understood a pipeline and what a nurture looks like, and we're to look at the long term, I'd be on an island sipping a Mai Tai, not even talking to you right now.
Yeah.
Truthfully, it would be a different world because there's so much money in your follow up. And what I train and coach agents on is how to look at your pipeline and what it means to you. So if you start planting these seeds and you don't see any fruits coming out of your labor right now, in the future, start putting a dollar amount to it. Say, okay, well, look, I just talked with Joe and Sally Smith, and they're not going to buy and sell until next summer. However, that's a $13,000 commission when we sell it, and that's an $8,000 commission when we buy it. So that's $21,000 in the future. Now start tracking that and see the fruits of your labor of potential. And I'll tell you what, it is a different ballgame when you focus on that. So to sum it all up, and once again, I know it's elementary, but truthfully, it goes back to your effort and the consistency and what to focus on. I brought this up in a training, and it's I use the term WTF, what the focus, and Darren Hardy taught me that. And it's what are you focusing on? And John Sheplack, our good buddy, he was telling me one day, he goes, for anybody who doesn't know who John Sheplack is, go look him up. And he's arguably probably one of the most fittest guys I know, right? Yep. No body fat, 50-some years old. I think he's 12, 13, 14 years sober. Like the dude is the most consistent man I know. And so he always tells me, he goes, Joel, I get a message every day in my inbox, and it says, oh, John, what did you work out today? Or what is your diet? And he goes, they're focusing on where I'm at right now. And he goes, that's the wrong focus. The focus is what have I done for the last 10 years every single day on a consistent basis to get me to where I'm at? That's what people don't want to focus on. They want to focus on the destination rather than the journey and what they need to do. Little spurts, day in and day out on suds, rinse, and repeat.
Fire.
That's what I would do. And I failed, right? And so I came from an architecture background where I made a good living. I mean, I'm not going to lie, but it was to the point where I had a ceiling. Somebody would throw okay, so here, let's design this house. And oh, by the way, Joel, it's a rush job and you have to stay and we need it done by Tuesday. I mean, I would stay until the wee hours of the morning, sleep for a couple hours, wake up, do it. And guess what? I made the same amount of money, whether I was rushing it or not rushing it, same amount of money. And I hated that. And it was like, it was a good living. It was, I mean, good interaction with people, but man, in real estate, in the real estate industry, I always tell people you're a DJ and you have these little volume buttons and you could be playing with them and tweak them. But what you don't want to be is what I was, which is you jam on the intensity. And then when you get a fat paycheck, it's on mute. And then no one saw Joel for 2 months until I had to go make money again. And then I was short-term intensity and I made money, as opposed to just keep it more consistent. Don't put it on level 10. I mean, yes, put it on level 10. Don't get me wrong with the advice I'm about to give, but I would rather see you be, don't get too high when things are good and don't get too low when things are bad. Be super consistent with your efforts and everything in what fuels money to your bank account, and your world's going to change.
I love that, because I think the number one thing that I was guilty of, and I'm still guilty of, I'm not going to pretend like I'm not, is as the money starts to roll in, those things that really I don't like to do, I don't want to do, those are the things that start to go away, right? Because then you create this roller coaster where like, okay, great, tons of checks coming in, great. I'm not going to do any of the work. And then you come back and it's just like, right back down to here.
4 houses, 0 houses, 1 house, 0 houses, 4 houses. Or would you rather be on this roller coaster? 4 houses, 3 houses, 4 houses, 2 houses, 4 houses. That's the roller coaster you want to be on. But 100%. It all goes back to effort. And then, yes, you have to have you got to get the right advice, the right coaching on where you put forth that effort. And one thing that I love that I was taught early is obviously the difference between strengths and weaknesses. And I'm sure with other people that you've had on here, they talk about leveraging, right? That's the next step of where, how to elevate your business is to leverage people when it comes to your weaknesses. Focus on your strengths, master your strengths, stack them, stack your business, and then leverage all your weaknesses and leverage the non-money generating activities.
I love
So, depending on what you want to make a year, divide that by, I've been told a few different things, but let's just say 2,080 hours, because that's about a 40-hour work week in corporate America. 2 weeks vacation, 1 hour of lunch every single day. 2,080, there's your hourly wage. So if you could pay somebody a very, very, very small percentage of that to do your weaknesses, you could be out making money while you're paying someone to do your weaknesses.
100%. 100%, especially when it comes to transaction management. I mean, even for a newer agent, you can get paid that you pay them at the closing. You don't have to sweat it. Meanwhile, that's 20 to 30 hours off of your plate that you can go back to selling. You can go back to doing what you're good at and getting people under contract instead of that roller coaster. I feel like the initial roller coaster comes from that exact thing, is managing the transactions, answering every single anxious call. And you go through that process where you're doing that, which is pulling you away from your sales and your service. So now you're going to hit the bottom of the roller coaster.
Yeah, and everybody feels like they have to be Superman or Superwoman and do it all themselves. And things are going to get diluted if I don't handle my paperwork myself. Truthfully, the number one thing that gets diluted is communication. So really, you are going to spearhead the delusion of the communication aspect, because you're trying to handle it all yourself, and then you get busy other things. As opposed to, if you do pay someone to do it, they're going to do it 10 times better than you. And I think I've told you this before. Like, this comes at, I learned this at a very early step in leadership. I would order the bagels for our weekly meeting. Something as simple as bagels. Why? Because no one can order a bagel like Joel. I would get them sliced. I would get a few different kinds of cream cheese. I had it dialed in, James. And then it became this. I started really slacking because I would forget to. And then that morning I'm calling. I'm like, I'm so sorry. Can you please rush these bagels? I got to go come pick them up. Then I gave them to an assistant to handle, Amy. Amy handled it. And guess what? She not only had bagels, she had an assortment. She had Danishes. She had other stuff. And then the agent, she did a better job than I did at something as little as that. So if that was getting diluted, imagine what your communication and paperwork and actually doing our job for our clients would look like. Because that's what it all boils down, that client experience. And everybody throws that around, but it's true. If you focus on that, and we were just talking, at a build conference in Dallas that we went to, Tony Robbins said, fall in love with your clients, not in love with what you do or your product. Game changer.
Yeah. 100. Yeah.
I won't go down that rabbit hole, by the way.
Yeah, I felt it coming. So let's give them. So the first thing that we know is, as there's an agent watching this, and they're like, great, like, I'm willing to put in the effort. But I think the paralyzer really comes from clarity, right? Like the paralyzer where things don't happen is because I don't know what efforts to put out there, right? Like, I'm not clear on which things I need to do right away. So go in, like, you got an agent, let's make it super hard, right? They're in a market where they have a limited sphere, and their brand new agent doesn't have referrals coming in or anything like that. What are 2 things that you think they should be doing right now in order to grow their business?
Yeah, and I mean, and honestly, that's a really good question. And so, man, once again, I'll answer it with a blanket comment here, but it's when you said clarity, it's understanding where their strengths and weaknesses are and what they have. Everybody has something different in their life. And what I mean by that is I sit down with people and I say, okay, here's all the aspects that business can come from with what you have in your life. And it could be anything. It could be a bartending job. It could be golf league. It could be volleyball. It could be here, you shoot pool. It could be that. So everybody has something different. And so what I would say is, okay, what do we have in our arsenal right now? Like a screenshot without implementing anything else in real estate. What do we have right now? And so it would be, okay, what are my hobbies? What are the things that I like? What are my interactions? What are my sphere of influence like? But truthfully, social media is a big dog. And so, and I don't know if anybody else has said this on here, but I would start going with, free, right? Let's talk free. I would start going with social media, and I would be posting stuff out there, keeping in front of my audience strategically. And you don't want to hear this, and nobody else wants to hear this, but I'd be calling for sale by owners right now like crazy. I would be using the proper script. I would be learning how to be proactive, because so I got in the industry in 08, and what I identified immediately was all these big name realtors that I knew. Guess who wasn't selling houses amongst everybody else? But it was because they were reactive in the last 20 years in their business, because that's all they knew how to do. They would sit back. They were the analogy you see of that stick figure with the arms above their head, feet on the desk, waiting for their phone to ring. And it happened because of their name. Well, the best thing that could have happened was that crash in 08, because guess what? It separated the people who were willing to put forth the effort and the work, which is what I was, alluding to earlier, and being proactive about their business. So I would do everything to be proactive. I would be intentional about my sphere of influence and going to shoot pool. I would remind everybody that I'm a real estate agent in a non-sleazy way.
Yeah.
And then obviously systems and processes, I think they come, they will, come, and you can tweak them along the way. And that's another thing that Michael Reese said to me was, everybody wants to perfect something up front, and it's never going to be perfect. Hell, look at an iPhone, right? How many times do we upgrade or whatever an iPhone? That's not even perfect. So therefore, think of that as your business. Put something out there, be open to being wrong, and tweak it along the way if it is wrong. So I don't even know if that answered your question at all, but truthfully, it's like sitting back and thinking about what we have. Because here, a lot of agents, I see it. They're like, they don't even know what to do, because yes, I would love to have lead generation and stuff, but realistically, if we don't have money to put at it, I guess to answer your question, and this is not a shameless plug, I would join a team. I did not join a team for the first 5 years. I was my own individual agent. I won awards in RE/MAX that were BS awards. And I'm not saying that for RE/MAX. Okay, I'm saying this because I was given awards for the highest average sales price in my area, in my region. But when you're only selling 18 of them a year, you ain't making that much money. So that's a great award to win. And in the eyeballs of a lot of my peers and the agents, they thought Joel was the man, because Joel had 200 signs around the city with new construction and vacant land, but he was only selling 18 homes a year. So the mindset, they thought Joel was the man, but really I struggled. Yeah. And then I joined a team, right, with my now business partner, Al Stasek. I joined his team, and he taught me of lead generation and follow-up and the basics and scripting and customer service and a listing presentation, a buyer presentation. It was next level stuff. And so I would have rewound and jumped on a team first thing, and then worry about spreading your wings after that. I did it in reverse.
Honestly, it's great advice. And, coming off of that is reach out to people, right? Like, because we're talking about clarity. We're talking about what are the steps you can take coming into a new thing. Reach out to people. I'm always available for a coaching call. It's something where it's probably the thing I love most in all of real estate, is to sit down and see what I can do to help somebody else figure out how to take action. Like, what are the actions I'm going to take, and get them committed to taking those actions. Those are the things that are the most fun. And there's a ton of people. I don't care what market you're in. There are a ton of people that will help you if you just reach out to them.
Yeah, and that's the thing, is that, like, exactly what you just said. It's the what do we call it? Plus, minus, and equal. And John Kitchens and I talk about this all the time. And Frank Shamrock developed this, the famous UFC fighter. In all of his training schools, he worries about he focuses on the plus, minus, and equal. And it's about being around people that are better than you. But guess what? It's the people that are better than you are going to help you out, but you got to reach up and ask. And then when you see somebody below you, you reach down and you pull them up and you give them advice that what's working out. But the beauty of it is the people that are equal to you. And I don't know if we're allowed to swear on here or not, but I really don't care. Oh, yeah. They will call you out on your bullshit, and they will push you to be the best version of yourself. You have to be around all those people. But if you don't ASK, you don't GET. You have to ask somebody, or you're not going to get it. And yes, they will give you that advice. You have the sphere. If they have the mindset of there's plenty of business that goes around, then so you have the abundance mindset or the scarcity mindset. And if they have the scarcity, they ain't going to share with you. They're not your people. But
Yep.
if they have the abundance mindset, there's plenty of business going around. And I get asked that all the time because I speak to agents in our area. We were doing it once a month, and there would always be one agent that would raise their hand at Q&A and say, "Why are you teaching us your listing presentation when you're with a different brokerage?" And I was brutal with them. I'm like, honestly, I said, I've heard different statistics, but there's the 3%ers. Okay, some people say the 1%ers, but I'm gonna fall back and give you a little bit more credit to the industry and say 3%ers. You all took some notes and you like what I had to say and you thought they were great ideas, but 3% of you are actually going to implement it immediately in your business. So I'm not scared for you stealing my business. 97% of you, once again, took notes, but you love it, but you're not going to implement it. So that's the difference. Is that a good leader? I think is going to share anything and hope that they do, and then hold them accountable.
Yeah. I got nothing more there. I got nothing because that is the dead honest truth. And the thing is that when you live abundantly, there was actually a local rep that he's a new builder rep, and he was talking with me. He called me to congratulate me that I had sold X amount of homes for them this year, and I was like, yeah, man, like I love this. Like I think we're just gonna sell 20 next year. And he's like, man, this is what I love about you. And his metaphor was so spot on. He's like, there's so many people that go over to the Sea of Abundance with a cup. They take their cup and they come back. And then there's people like you that come over with a dump truck and grab what they're supposed to. And then you leave. And you know what? No matter who came with which size, the
Yeah,
Sea of Abundance is the exact same. You
that's
can't
right.
tell. He was
That's
so spot
awesome.
on with that. It was a good metaphor. When he said, I was like, man, I'm going to write that one down.
That is awesome, man. Well, you're in good company because he sounds like he's got the exact same mindset as what we do.
Exactly right. And those it's you'll know when you reach out to those people and you reach up, it'll be very clear very quickly if they're in your world of like where you want to share and they want to share. And if they don't want to share, you're gonna beat them. Just keep moving
Yeah,
forward.
but the people that do want to help, they're all over.
Yep.
And truthfully too is like you can learn something from anybody, and that was the other learning experience. Like even in leadership, we were throwing call nights out there, and so agents would come in for 3 hours. We'd feed them, give them some drinks, and then we would open up what we call the shark tank, or other people call it the pond, and we would dial, and we would have a good time. I sat with this guy who if he even sold a house, it was less than 4 houses total in his career. And I'm listening to him leave a message. It was actually for a Zillow lead. Okay, not a big fan, but that was back when we were doing Zillow. And his message was, "Hey, this is Andy over at Zillow. I'm actually the premier agent, and my referral team gave me your information. And I was just calling to kind of update your profile and to see if you ended up finding that perfect home, or are you still in the market? If you don't mind, just shoot me a text back or give me a call just to let me know that you're still in the market, and I'll update your profile." I was like, so for some person who I thought was a negative, right, where in experience he was underneath me. Well, I just learned something from him. So there you go, right? You never know, and if you're intentional about it, meaning when you're with somebody, and that's one thing that Al Stasek taught me. He's like, and I think I learned this from, I think we were either in a CE, or I happened to do jury duty or something stupid where I was sending him a message like, "I do not want to be here." He's like, "No, bro." He goes, "You have nowhere else to be. You're already signed up. You're already there. Be intentional and at least get some takeaways from it, because there's no other option right now." And I'm like, and that changed my mindset of no matter what I'm doing, I'm going to be intentional about it and I'm going to be present.
I love that.
Being present, baby. It's huge.
So I got one last question for you. And guys, if there's anybody on here who wants to ask any questions, please, we got a few minutes left here, and I want to make sure that everybody gets their stuff answered. And thank you for joining on. So what was the biggest problem that you experienced before coming over to EXP, and what did EXP do to solve it? It's the
Yeah.
big one.
So I'm sure Al Stasek, my partner, had probably a similar answer to this, but mine's going to be, me, I go like 20 different directions. So we had, and I don't remember the year, I want to say it was back in 17, maybe 16. We had our 2 top agents pack up and walk out. And I believe it was something about $600,000 in gross commission.
Wow.
walked out the door. One did. They were right around both about 55 transactions each. So we were a small knit team. We call ourselves the Navy SEALs because our average agent did right around 40 transactions each. We were high level accountability. We were very militant. But what Al taught me was this: as soon as I was hurt, right? They walked out the door. Like, what do you mean? You're super successful, more successful than I've ever been, and you're walking out on this. And then he's like, "No, bro, look in the mirror. What can we do different so this never happens again?" And so that was like, okay, well, let's create the model for the agents and the culture and other streams of income, right? We had our own independent brokerage. That's what I didn't mention. So it was okay. Well, let's create ownership that, you know, and a retirement plan that if they sign a 20-year contract with us, they're going to have this many millions by the end of it, and we'll match up to this. And it was like we had it all laid out, and we were confident. And then, of course, this model came across our plate, and I don't know if ego is the right word, but Al called me one Saturday, I remember, and he goes, "What are you doing?" I'm like, I don't even remember what I was doing, probably yard work or something stupid. And he goes, "You got 30 minutes, go. I'm sending you this, watch this and call me right back. And call me back in 32 minutes so I know that you watched it." Okay, fine. So I watched it and I'm like, and honestly, like straight transparency, I didn't care where we were at that time. I could have been with, I'm trying to think of a funny real estate name, but, you know, I mean, I could have been with ABC Realty or, you know, Joe Schmo Realty. It didn't matter because I know with our systems and processes, we could parachute into any market and be super successful. However, we joined and I still was like, I don't get it and everything. And then it blew up. It blew up in a matter of months. And so truthfully, we came over. Al and I argue about this all the time. It was either 9, 10, 11 agents, somewhere in between there.
Yep.
And then we went to 40 agents in no time because everybody else was seeing the model. And so, you know, not only did our team blow up, but obviously just, you know, what Al has done nationally and, you know, what I've done locally, that has absolutely blown up. But to sum up your question, I am going to be writing a book and it's going to be called How to Make Multiple Streams of Income and Retire from Real Estate. So that's what it's changed for me, is that I never knew that there was another form of income. And once again, we were partners. I mean, he was sole partner and I was a smaller partner in an independent brokerage. We had multiple forms of income, but truthfully, how much could it really be? We had a limit as well. So, man, it's life-changing stuff that I see and the stuff that I never thought about. And, you know, it's stuff that is setting my 2 kids up for the rest of their life as well. I mean, it's when you see it on paper, yeah, you have the percentage of people that get it. And they're like, you know, Jay Kinder, once you see it, you can't unsee it. He's right for the people that get it. But for the people that are still have to think about it and process it and be like, they're the Joels, right? I'm not really sure that this works. It works. Like, it's absolutely unbelievable. And we're almost 5 years in. And truthfully, I of course I wish it was prior to that we did, but we couldn't have came in any earlier. We were the 12th and 13th agent in the state of Ohio to join EXP back, and I don't know the exact number, but I think we were right around 10,000 agents. Right now we're at 75,000, the fastest growing real estate company in the world ever. That statistic doesn't lie. And John Kitchen said it to me when I interviewed him, and it really stuck with me. He goes, because of this model, every single agent on the face of the planet will be part of this model in the near future. And he's right.
100%.
Yeah. At first I'm like, then you think about it. Oh yeah. I mean, the efficiency, I can keep going, but yeah, I mean, truthfully, it was the multiple streams of income. And here's where it changes. Everybody's like, oh, well, that's great at a leadership level. No, it's great at our agent level too. I have an agent that I wish we could get a third screen here, and he talks more than I talk, so it's a good thing that he's not on. But honestly, I've been with him. I've been managing him for almost 12 years now. His name is Dan. Dan's been licensed since '83. Since I've known Dan and I've coached him and trained him, and I've said, okay, Dan, where are we at? You've been on your 5-year program for 12 years now. Well, guess what? He calls me. He's like, dude, since we've joined 4 years ago, I'm not going to say the number, but it's six figures on what he has in stock in the company and everything. And he goes, a couple more years now, man. So that was never the case. He was going to continue to work because that's what everybody has to do. Continue to work. And then what do you want to do? I want to sell my real estate business, right? Because we see that happening all the time. No, this is what gets you to that next level.
Yes. I hear that story, and I've never seen those actual sales, but I mean, you guys probably know that a little bit better than me. Selling a brokerage is non-existent. And then you answered the real question though. So like when you looked in the mirror and you were trying to find those ways to limit attrition and keep the agents that you want inside of the company there, it's ultimately going to be a tough thing, right? Like, and one of the things I love about EXP is that you pour into people and you get rewarded for that. I mean, it's literally where you take the heart and you put it in alignment with everything else. We all love people, right?
For
But
sure.
what happens in that process is you end up choosing on who you're going to love for free. And is that going to take to the detriment of your family is what it ends up being, because you get leverage at some point. And this brings it to where both make perfect sense and are in dead alignment.
Dude, it changed our mission statement, right? And our mission statement, it turned to this: the more agents that we align ourselves with, that we partner with, the more lives that we can help change. And it's true. I've seen it more. Like I've never seen stuff like this happening ever. And when you it goes back to like our listing presentation, the one that we're all trained on and taught. Well, guess what? It's like I've had pushback from agents on our team, and they say things like, "Oh, well, I can't." I mean, I'm telling them all this stuff, and we don't deliver on everything that we're promising them. I'm like, yeah, we do, or we wouldn't tell them that. So you don't believe in that process or that system, right? And so once again, I'm living proof that I believe that this is the best model, and it's passion that comes across. It's people will see that, and you live by it, and then you help change lives, and then it just there's something that you wouldn't understand is the snowball effect, right? Pack that snowball, you start rolling it, and it gets really big. That's what happens with this company.
And then when it starts rolling down the hill,
look out.
You can't stop it if you tried.
That's right.
Hey, brother, I appreciate all your time and being here and helping out to contribute towards our community. Is there anything that you want to leave them off on?
Man, I mean, I know everybody could reach out to you, reach out to me, but truthfully, like, yeah, I mean, it's at this point where you look back and you say, okay, am I happy with where I'm at my real estate? Not even career, but are you happy where I'm at in mid-February right now? And if you're not, the advice that I was given is look at your calendar in the last 1, 2, and 3 months, and you could probably identify why. So put those that uncomfortable, the dull, the boring stuff in your schedule when you know that it fuels your bank account, because that's step number one. You still have to make money selling houses. So identify it, put those non-negotiables in there, respect your schedule, because if you don't, nobody else will. And so when when James calls me and says, hey, let's go grab a beer and it's 3:30 and I got to make a call block, I'm going to say, James, I'm going to buy you a beer here at 4:30 once I'm done with my priorities. Is that okay? Honor your schedule and put those money generating activities in there.
Boom. Thanks again for being here, brother. And am I going to see you here at Cabo?
No, I am not going to be
on.
No, right. Maybe you could talk me into it.
I can. Thank you, brother. I appreciate you being here.
Appreciate you, man.